In a small town in Indiana, USA, a boy named Harland Sanders was born in 1893. His childhood was anything but easy. At just 6 years old, he lost his father. The man who had protected and provided for his family was suddenly gone, leaving behind a grieving wife and 3 children. Harland, being the eldest, didn't have time to mourn like other kids his age. His mother had no choice but to work long hours just to put food on the table. That meant Harland had to grow up much faster than he should have. While other kids played outside, Harland was in the kitchen learning to cook so he could feed his younger siblings. By the time he was 7, he could make bread and cook vegetables. By 10, he was already working on a farm, feeding animals to earn a little money. But being just a child, he struggled to keep up with the hard labor. He was slow, weak, and untrained. The farm owners saw him as a burden and fired him. At 12, things got even worse. His mother remarried, hoping to bring some stability to their broken family. But her new husband didn't like Harland and didn't want him around. The house that was once his home became a place of constant fights and tension. Eventually, his stepfather forced him out. He had to leave the only family he had and move in with relatives. To survive, Harland worked on different farms, waking up at dawn, working all day, and then rushing to school in the evening. But it became too much. With so many responsibilities weighing on his young shoulders, he fell behind in school. Algebra was especially difficult for him, and when he couldn't keep up, he was expelled. He was just 13 years old and already forced to abandon his education. For the next few years, Harland wandered from one job to another. He worked as a streetcar conductor, a railroad fireman, a salesman, and even tried to become a lawyer. But every job ended the same way. He either quit or was fired. No matter what he did, nothing seemed to work out. At 16, desperate for a new beginning, he lied about his age and joined the U.S. Army. For the first time in his life, he felt a sense of belonging, but his relief was short-lived. Just a year later, the Army found out about his real age and discharged him. Once again, he was left with nothing. In his 20s, Harland got married, hoping to finally find some stability. But the instability of his career took a toll on his marriage. His wife grew tired of his constant failures and struggles. One day, she packed her bags and left him, taking their child with her. Harland was shattered. He had lost not only his job, but also his family. Years passed, and Harland kept trying to make something of himself. At 34, he finally caught a break when an oil company offered him the chance to run a gas station. Desperate for stability, he took the offer. But he didn't just sell fuel. He had an idea. Since he knew how to cook, he started preparing meals for travelers who stopped by. His fried chicken, in particular, became a favorite. For the first time in his life, people were coming to him not for gas, but for his food. Business was booming, and he even opened a small restaurant. But fate wasn't done testing him. The Great Depression hit, and the economy crashed. People no longer had the money to eat out. His restaurant, once filled with happy customers, became empty. One by one, he had to let go of his employees. Eventually, he lost everything. Again. Determined not to give up, he started over. After the war ended, he opened another restaurant, and his fried chicken once again became a sensation. People traveled from far and wide just to taste it. The governor of Kentucky was so impressed that he honored him with the title Colonel, a name that would later become legendary. But once again, tragedy struck. A new highway was built, diverting traffic away from his restaurant. The customers who once filled his dining hall disappeared overnight. His restaurant, his dream, was no longer sustainable. Forced to sell it, he was left with just $105 from his Social Security check and a secret fried chicken recipe. He was 65 years old, a time when most people retire, a time when most people give up. But not Harland. With nothing but his car, a pressure cooker, and a few ingredients, he set out on a journey that would change his life forever. He traveled from town to town, knocking on restaurant doors, offering them his recipe. If they liked it, they could use it in their restaurant, and he would get a small share of the profits. But rejection followed him everywhere. He was turned down 1,009 times. Restaurant owners laughed at him, told him he was too old, that his idea would never work. He was broke, sleeping in his car, hungry and exhausted, but he refused to quit. Then, on his 1,010th attempt, a restaurant owner finally said yes, and that was the beginning of something extraordinary. Over the next few years, more and more restaurants joined him. His brand, Kentucky Fried Chicken, spread across America. By the time he was 73, he had over 600 franchises. Finally, after a lifetime of struggle, he had built something great. At 75, he sold KFC for $2 million, but remained its face, appearing in commercials and advertisements. But there was one thing he never expected. After selling the company, the new owners changed his recipe to cut costs. Harland was furious. He had spent his entire life perfecting his fried chicken, and now it was being ruined. He sued KFC, claiming that they were selling something entirely different while still using his name and image. In response, KFC sued him back, stopping him from opening another restaurant under his name. He was heartbroken, but even then, he refused to back down. Instead of giving up, he opened Claudia Sanders' Dinner House, named after his wife, where he served the original recipe that had made him famous. Harland Sanders passed away in 1980 at the age of 90, but his legacy lived on. Today, KFC is one of the biggest fast food chains in the world, with over 25,000 locations in more than 150 countries. His face, the face of a man who never gave up, is still on every KFC bucket. His life was a series of failures, heartbreaks, and struggles. He lost jobs, lost his family, lost businesses, but he never lost hope. The next time you eat KFC, remember that it isn't just about chicken. It's about a man who refused to accept defeat, a man who proved that success is not about how many times you fall, but about how many times you get back up.